Well, 48 hours later, here we go again. The second ODI between Sri Lanka and India at Colombo is all set to take place. Toss has already gone down in Colombo. Similar story to the first ODI. Dasun Chanaka has won another toss. Sri Lanka will bat first. Yet again, they'll have to bat better if they are to pose a serious challenge to this new look Indian batting lineup that made light work of a target of 263 in the last game. They managed to get there in just over 36 overs. We'll see if the story changes today. Discussion with Muralidaran and Aakash Chopra is on the cards on ESPN Cricket for Match Day. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Good to see both of you back in action. Murli's got some lovely flowers next to him as well. But let me go to Aakash Chopra first up. And in many ways, Aakash, the first ODI didn't really tell us anything we didn't already know. We expected this team, this Indian team, to look stronger, look better, and perhaps just the style in which they batted just blew us away a little bit. But we were expecting it.
Yes, we were expecting it, but then, as Murli had rightly pointed out earlier, that don't let's not count our chickens before they hatch. The story might still be similar again. Yes, the way Prithvi Shaw started, and then Ishan Kishan never really they don't really have a defensive bone in their body, is what it seems for us sitting so far away. But the fact is, this is a strong Indian team. Having said that, this is a new game. Once again, you can't really look at the previous game and think that this is how it is going to pan out one more time. I am a very strong believer in the fact that experience counts for a lot. If Sri Lanka manages to get 310 on the board, you've got Shikhar Dhawan at the top, you've got Hardik Pandya at the bottom. There's a lot of inexperience in between that can be put under pressure. So the story so far might seem very similar. Same guy winning the toss, electing to bat first. But if they bat properly, things can look very different by the end of today.
Okay, that's interesting. Can they get 310? Can Sri Lanka get 300 plus? Murli in the last game, if it wasn't for Chamika Karunaratne's little cameo at the end, they could have even fallen short of 250. We saw a lot of starts from the top three or four batters. Does this Sri Lanka team possess the ability, in your view, to get 300, 300 plus?
It's depend on maybe if they are playing in a fresh wicket, right? 300 will be a good score in Katarama normally. But if you bat first, always chance to have get 300 runs is easy in this because of, I said, not because of the wicket. It's about the humidity and the difficulty for the bowlers. Bowlers can't 10 overs when you have to bowl. They will get so much of tiredness when you're bowling. So that will leak runs to the batsman if they properly play and keep wickets. Definitely in this ground you can score 300. So it depends on how they bat. Last time they had the opportunity, they had a good start, and then they collapsed with the spinners, and then in the end there's some decency, but still 260 was not good enough in that wicket.
Okay, we're going to discuss that Sri Lanka batting in a bit. So to India's bowlers. Before that, confirmation of team news. We expected no changes for India, and that's exactly what's happened. Shikhar Dhawan going in with the same team. One change for Sri Lanka. They've got Kasum Rajita in, and out goes Isuru Udana. So the right arm seamer comes in for the left arm seamer. Murli, a quick comment on that. Rajita comes in after just one game in place of Isuru Udana.
Yeah, Isuru is didn't perform well, and he didn't look like anything in that song in the team. So he was mainly playing most of the time is T20s. So I suddenly started playing a few one days here and there. He played, but not regular player. So I think this change will be a good change because Kasum is a genuine bowler. So they're going for a genuine bowler rather than a bowling all rounder.
Well, he did make his T20 debut against India 5 years back now. It seems like a long time back. Was man of the match on debut was Kasun Rajita, so has fond memories of bowling to India. Let's see if he makes an impact first up, but that'll happen only in the second innings. Let's discuss Sri Lanka's batting a little bit more in detail. We saw some shots, Akash. We saw batsmen that looked comfortable till they got to about 20, 30, 40 in some cases, and then just perished. Now, what do you make of the type of batters that Sri Lanka have? We know the likes of Avishka Fernando, stroke players and whatnot. Where are they lacking in terms of moving from those stroke players to effective ODI batters?
Well, of course, the first game of the series, you're still trying to find your feet, and I'm sure they must be kicking themselves for letting go of first starts, because that's the hardest bit to do as a batsman in cricket. And one day cricket, if you got that start and with the one extra fielder inside the circle till the 40th over, bowlers not really bowling those lengths that force mistakes, and they're not looking for wickets. Field is not set to take wickets, like Murli was mentioning earlier, hot, humid. You can really grind the opposition completely, but there's batting is not about choosing options. There are a couple of options to choose from. Do you go aerial? Do you go along the ground? Do you just accumulate runs by scoring singles and then look to accelerate at a later stage in the game? Just understanding the nuances of a one-day game. It's very different from a T20 cricket. It's absolutely like, radically different from Test match cricket. So you need to find that rhythm, and once you get that, you'll find out that one-day cricket, scoring in one-day cricket might just be the easiest pursuit for a batsman across three formats. Least amount of pressure, and it's nobody's looking to get you out, and nobody's actually forcing the issue either. You can happily go at 5.5 runs and over, and nobody's touching you for a considerable period of time, and that is where you need to change. Just rotate, strike, just make sure whoever gets going, everybody doesn't, just makes it count, and that's one thing that you learn with experience. The number of games that you play, the number of runs that you score, and suddenly you start understanding the rhythm of ODI cricket. And this could be the day. Avishka, I'm a huge fan of Avishka. I really like the way he actually plays. It's just that he's not been capitalizing on the starts that he's getting. Hopefully, from Sri Lanka's point of view, this might just be the day.
So I find that very interesting. As a batter, you say that the easiest format to actually score in is the ODI game. So what is it? Just about batters realizing that? Just a mental thing?
Absolutely. There's nothing else to it, honestly, because the two new balls, after the 10th or the 12th over, they don't move. So if they're not moving, neither orthodox way or the reverse swing doesn't even come to play in these conditions now, the new ODI conditions. So who is actually stopping you from scoring runs, barring disciplined bowling, because that's all you get in one day cricket. Disciplined bowling, not a bowling which is designed to take wickets. That's what you get in test match cricket. In T20 cricket, there's a scoreboard pressure. You need to go at 8.5 runs and over. You need to somehow find shots that are not there for you to be just playing. So in one day cricket, you can absolutely just meander along for a very long time, and then just reach a stage where now let's press the advantage. But for that, only the mindset and nothing else. It's not that much of a technical change that you need to make. It's just what's happening between the 2 years.
Murli, you've worked enough with T20 franchises. Do you sense that as well? A lot of T20 batters from the T20 mold that find it hard to adjust their game to one day cricket? Forget Test cricket for now.
It's very difficult to say because it's a game changed. Both format is very
Hmm.
different, and where you have to score runs. Sometimes in T20 you look at it like 8 9 runs and over. When you come to one day internationals, you write about 5.5 to 6 overs. So there is a small breathing pace for batters to set themselves and then go for that pace, because in T20 you have to start from that. You have to accelerate and play your shots, and you don't have time to set yourself because you can't waste balls. So these are the two difference in the form of the game. But the great players like who plays test really well, they will adjust, because it's not easy to adjust. They know the conditions, they know how to play, who the bowlers to take on chances. So the great players definitely adjust on all format. But some are, there are specialists called, they don't know how to play test cricket. Sometimes they play only limited overs, and T20 they can't change the tempos according to that. So some players are like that. So it's depend on the individual, how do you adjust. So I
Hmm.
think what Akash says, in a T20, in a one day is little easier because you have a little bit of breather pace for one, and take some time, and you can waste some balls, and then you get your setting and then score the runs.
Okay, I'm trying to think of whether the new way to go would be to have just one or two of these anchors that we tend to say can only survive in a T20 game. Even in the ODIs, if you have one Shikhar Dhawan, then you can have Prithvi Shaw and Ishan Kishan do their thing. If you have one Joe Root, you could have Jason Roy and Johnny Bairstow do their thing. Looking at this team, Murli, who can be designated as an anchor? There's Avishka Fernando, there's Rajapaksha, there's Dhananjay Sid De Silva. Who is most capable of being an anchor here?
See, frankly, I don't know much about them
Hmm.
because they all knew most of the players. Because last 4 5 years, I have seen much cricket because I didn't see it properly. But if you take it, these players, uh, very little match behind them. We can't
Yeah.
judge them on who can play the anchor role, who can. But when you come to India, you can say because you're seeing in them in IPL, you're seeing in them in international cricket. So then you know who are the players. These players has not played much games, and our standard of first class cricket is not that great. So from that, is judging is very hard when you come to this level. So unfortunately, very difficult to say who
Fair enough.
can be. But all are capable enough batsmen. But individually, we have to see and wait for another 10, 20, 30 matches and how they perform and everything. Then only you say who can play the role that they can.
Yeah, point well taken. These are inexperienced batters, but perhaps is that something that you discuss? If you're Mickey Arthur, if you're part of that Sri Lankan dugout or dressing room, Akash, would you tend to say, look, we need to find one guy who will bat 30, 35 overs, and then maybe two or three of you can continue doing what you do?
For everyone, whoever is there in the side, whether you're an aggressive batsman, you're a defensive batsman, you're a grafter, or you're a destructive player, the fact is you still need to score the runs. So everybody must find a way to last 30, 35 overs of that 50 over innings. And that is why you are picked as a batsman to bat in the top five in a one-day game. You look at a Virat Kohli or a Shikhar Dhawan or a Rohit Sharma, successful one-day players. You look at a David Warner. You will find that all of them have got different gears in their batting, and therefore, when you are in the dugout, when you're in the dressing room, when you're talking to a team, you don't say, you can play the role of an anchor, you're best suited, and everybody else can go doing what they want. Because if one guy is there and everybody else is just collapsing at the other end, it's not going to work, right? And in the end, whoever gets in, see, getting in is the most difficult thing to do. And if you don't capitalize from there, if you don't really use it to your advantage, then the next guy who's coming in, no matter how talented he is, how great a stroke player he is, he will find it tough. And if you lose two on the bounce, and suddenly the advantage is with the other side. So everybody has the responsibility in the top five, top six, to bat whenever they come to bat. At least if there are enough overs left, 30, 35 overs is somehow you need to bat. If you bat that well, or rather just that long, forget about batting well or not, you will end up with 70 runs on in front of your name. This is the pace at which the game flows in 50 over cricket. So just make sure that you bat 35 overs. That's about it.
Okay. Murli, you endorsing, I know you said this in the last game too, that batting first is always easier, but could it in any way have been an advantage to this inexperienced batting lineup to know how much to chase, or would that have been too big a risk? If India get 300 plus, then, this would have been a tough game for them. So have they still done the right thing for you in winning the toss and batting first?
Yeah, because at the moment the batsmen are not that confident because if you take
Hmm.
not this series, even the England series, whatever they played, they didn't put enough runs in the board. So for chasing will be very hard when you not enough runs. The batsmen are not in confidence, so chasing will be very hard. Added pressure because if India bats first and then they put a score of 300 over, and you have to go after the bowling first, and so you can't. So here you can take it on your pace, and in the middle you see where you are there, and then you can go about in the game because otherwise it's very difficult to them to chase. So batting first will be easier also because of the conditions, because in the night it's little cooler and everything. The bowlers can be a little bit not tiring, and in the afternoons because the humidity will be make them tiring and make loose balls. So it can take some advantage. So I think it's a right decision they took it, batting first in R. Premdas Stadium.
All right. Now, from that last game, what we also saw, Akash, is when the spinners came on, you saw perhaps Sri Lanka were more in discomfort as a batting side. There were shots, there were boundaries, but the rotation of strike didn't quite happen. It was that block or bash sort of approach where they went for boundaries, but they couldn't quite get the strike away. Now, is it an undervalued skill in modern day cricket to actually be able to work a turning ball into the gaps? Because we know that we're seeing the ball turn, we're expecting it to turn on this pitch as well, but is it a skill which perhaps is least practiced or skilled or mastered from a new set of batsmen to be able to work the turning ball into the gaps?
See, it's not turning square.
Hmm.
If you're playing against a wrist spinner, the ball is going to spin a little. The issue with the modern day batting generally is that if it's like 6 inches of turn and suddenly there is a brouhaha that the ball is turning. Of course, it's supposed to turn. It's not going to come straight after pitching, and you can just play through the line. While I agree with you that modern day batsmen they're not reading it from the hand that well, and therefore googlies have become far more potent than they ever were because people could actually read it from the hand, and there is a giveaway that there is a googly back of the hand and all of that. So there is a skill that needs mastering, that needs practicing. And what happens here is that one extra fielder inside the circle, which should actually be to your advantage. But if you don't know how to rotate the strike, if you're not like using your feet to smother the spin, you're not using the depth of the crease to just work the ball away, then that extra fielder actually just strangles you, because those easy singles that were available earlier are no longer available. Now you look
Yeah.
for risky options, and in the end, the game is all about the batting is all about weighing your options. You'll always have a couple of options to choose from. You go aerial, you go along the ground, you play defensively, you play aggressively, and that's about it. So the options that they were choosing in the previous game, they were high risk options. 14 boundaries for 7 sixes. I mean,
Hmm.
7 sixes don't come on a ground as big as that one, with only 14 boundaries to just boot. So you're looking at like 25, 28 boundaries, and then 7 sixes. Yes, you're scoring 325. It is understandable because it was a high scoring game. But if you've scored only 250, 260, in that span, if you've hit 14 boundaries, and to that you've gone aerial so many times, it was not a surprise that a lot of Sri Lankan batsmen were caught either at covers or caught in the deep, because they were not looking for a low risk, high percentage kind of cricket.
Hmm. Okay. Well, let's focus on India's bowling now. Good game for Kuldeep Yadav and Yuzvendra Chahal last time around. Murli, as a wrist spinner, if you've gone through a lean patch or a dry patch like a Kuldeep Yadav, you get that kind of game in the last game. I really liked what you said. You said you think he's actually bowled exactly the same. It's not like there's been a difference in how Kuldeep Yadav is bowled, but what kind of difference can that sort of performance make to you?
Yeah, because when you bowl like this and you got some wickets in hand, and then you add some in your confidence grows. It's all about cricket. Is all about confidence. So once your confidence is up, so you will bowl better. So I think he will better. He will bowl better, because only thing is the wrist spinners very hard to contain, because the problem is they are not the accuracy is not good as a finger spinner. So that only can hamper sometimes, because you wake up someday, your body is perfect, then you bowl the right lengths and right lines. Someday you wake up and see whatever you try to do, you won't be able to, because it's hard for a wrist spinner. So that might have maybe a little bit of if he bowls little bit here and there, then he can go for runs, and they can capitalize. But generally, the confidence will be high, and if his everything is perfect in his day, definitely he will have a big impact on this game as well. Because in Sri Lanka, the pitches will turn, because any pitch will turn in Sri Lanka, because there won't
Hmm.
be a flat wickets in even in these grounds or other grounds. So always been spinning. So wrist spinners definitely they will spin, because they got a big rip. They give a big rip. So he had a he will do really well this match as well, because of the last match's confidence also give him some extra
Hmm.
boost for him.
Yeah, I love how Murli puts a few things so simply that you could wake up one day and just not feel it and it won't work for you. Now, and I know he's speaking out of experience, but the great man is speaking out of experience where we can't really think of too many bad days that Murli has had. But you've had those, Murli, where you might be bowling well one game and suddenly 2 days later, there's a game 48 hours later. And even though you've bowled well in the last game as a spinner, like you said, you wake up and you just don't feel it.
See, what it happens to every cricketer, even for me, right? Because see, one day game you got judged. Even your test match, right? It's a 5 day game. So one day you will bowl like 25 overs, 70 no wickets, anything. Next day you come back with you bowl 5 overs and take 5 wickets. So end of the day your figure will be like that. So it's a test cricket you have time to do. In one day cricket, 10 overs you have. On the day, if you don't do well, you will go for runs or whatever. So every cricketer has that. Not only me as a batsman, everything. How you wake up and how you find it, how you that. This is more important for a cricketer because what we do is in that situation sometimes you go in the middle and you see okay everything doesn't work for you, then you have to minimize your battle because you can't bowl the way you bowl every day when you are in top form. You have to minimize the runs and everything, and so when you are on the top you maximize. So that's the way you count the performance and makes him is a world class player, because otherwise you can't every day perform and get 5 wickets and every day you can't score hundreds. So when you're not scoring, you don't score little, you're damaged. The damage control that has to have in the player. So that's important for cricketer.
Yeah, yeah. You resort to plan B. If it's not working for you, you still find a way to be effective. Brilliant from Uday Muralidaran. Now, India have gone unchanged into this game. We expected that. We were wondering whether they'd want the extra pace option of Navdeep Saini, but they stick with Bhuvaneshwar Kumar and Deepak Chahar and maybe a little bit of Hardik Pandya, Akash. And that's a point you raised rightly in the last game as well, even though it's a new series. India's problem with the new ball has been one where they don't quite penetrate no matter what the personnel is like. Just your thoughts on Bhuvaneshwar Kumar in that. He had a good ODI series against England, an excellent T20 series. But what's the fix to this now? How do India find ways of being effective with the new ball, looking at the personnel they have today?
See, both are swing bowlers, so searching for swing is the way they actually penetrate, or this is how they operate. They need to pick wickets. Swing bowlers are generally the ones who would pitch the ball a lot fuller. The moment you pitch the ball a lot fuller, you would expect players to play shots, and shots will eventually either score, give you runs or wickets. So that is where you want to be for without leaking too many runs and then just completely losing control, because that's the fine balance that you need to find. Would you be happy with 40 for 1 in, or rather 40 without loss in 10, or 55 for 2 in 10? I'll take 55 for 2. But if you're looking at 70 in the bargain in the first 10 overs, now you have a problem to address. So I think that's always a fine balance. You obviously, it's a tightrope that you need to walk. But once again, if both are swing bowlers, you got to pitch it fuller. You got to attack and look for wickets. And once in a while, just bowl a bouncer as a surprise weapon to just keep the batsman honest. But that's about it, and that's what I would expect from the two fast bowlers as well. Bhuvneshwar Kumar is coming back from an injury, so we'll give him a bit more time. He's a wicket taker. There is no doubt about it. There was a patch in his career where he was not picking with the, or rather picking wickets with the new ball. Hopefully, that's now in the past. And Deepak Chahar is getting picked only because he can take wickets with a new ball. And I would also like to have him bowl in the last 4, 5, 6 overs, which he did not in the previous over. It was Hardik who was bowling. So top and tail, give it to Deepak and see how he does. And Bhuvneshwar Kumar just continues to do what he does best, swing the ball.
It looks like the white Kookaburra ball is swinging less and less, Murli, in all parts of the world. And there wasn't much on offer in the first ODI as well. Would you be better advised then as a team to pick a different kind of bowler? Navdeep Saini who runs in, hits the deck hard, more like the Dushmanta Chamira sort of mold, and not have two swing bowlers where if there's no swing, perhaps their effect is a little less.
I don't believe on Sri Lanka because of the humid they will swing. The
Okay.
ball will swing for a good swing bowler. You won't get swings like in India, but the enough swing you will get first 10 or first 6 7 overs because you are using two new balls. Say 6 7 overs they can capitalize because they are a very good swing bowler. Bhunesh Shetwa I know very well, and also Charles is very good. So I think you don't have to go for pace. If you go for pace in this kind of wicket, you might go for runs because the pace doesn't give anything. It comes nicely to the bat, and you will score runs because people will like the ball come to the bat. So these kind of swing bowlers 130, 135, and they change of pace. I think that kind of a bowlers will suit in this part of the world.
All right. Openers have already made their way out there. Vishka Fernando and Vinod Bhanuka actually put on 49 in that last ODI. So they started steady for Sri Lanka. And of course, the first wicket came when Yuzvendra Chahal came on. That was the 10th over. Are we expecting spin any earlier than that? Akash, if we see a similar pattern to the last game?
Not earlier than that, because you've got Bhuvi, you've got Deepak, both prefer to swing the ball, and the ball is going to swing only when it's new. Unless both the Sri Lankan openers go off to like get off to a flyer, and then it forces Shikhar Dhawan's hand to introduce spin very early. I don't see a reason why you should not continue with Bhuvneshwar and Deepak Chahar at least 4 overs each. In the first 10 overs, and then get Hardik Pandya as well. Let him bowl with a new ball and see how he's developing, how he's coming back from an injury. And spin will come and do what they do. On spin, you need a bit of a cushion with regards to your field restrictions as well. So I would like to see Bhuvneshwar Kumar, Deepak Chahar bowling at least 4 overs each with the new ball.
All right, fair enough. Hardik Pandya bowled 5 in the last game. Keep an eye out on how he's used today, and keep an eye out on how Sri Lanka bat. We'll pick up the conversation with Muralidaran and Aakash Chopra at halftime on ESPN Cricket for Matchday. Many thanks, gentlemen. Let's see you in 50 overs time to see if Sri Lanka have batted better than they did in the first ODI.